Immigration Law Advice, your licensed immigration advisor from New Zealand. We bring to you information in ABS format, accurate, brief, and simple. And in the current series, where we are bringing to you the skilled, successful migrants from New Zealand who been there, done that. So learning from their personal journey, their struggle, their challenges, their successful stories, which will help all of us to understand how the journey of a migrant is, and also knowing about a particular profession to make a career in New Zealand and settle in New Zealand. Today, we're going to be talking to someone which is currently in really high demand in current situation when we are recording this video in mid-June, when COVID-19 has, globally it's a huge issue. Luckily, in New Zealand, things are getting much better. Rather, it has been announced, we are, contained or eliminate the COVID. Uh, Having said that, one of the important uh, occupation which has, paid, made a played an integral role in this containing this virus in New Zealand are the nurses. And registered nurses always been in high demand in New Zealand, and more so in current situation where where everyone is struggling to find the healthcare profession. It's a thankless job. Of course, there are a lot of challenges, but it comes with a lot of opportunities and benefits. So let's, without delaying anything, let me introduce you to Jyoti, Jyoti Kaushal, who is a registered nurse in New Zealand. Hi, Jyoti, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you. How are you doing?
Good, thanks, Jyoti. First of all, thanks for joining us. Especially in current scenario, I know there are long hours you're doing, and it's a very, very busy time. Anyways, it's a busy profession, but in current situation, even more. So thanks for joining us. So let me start with the asking you a very, a simple question. Just we would like to know about your journey to New Zealand, how it all started. That would be great. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
So just if you could share something about how your journey to New Zealand started, like you arrived, I believe, few quite a few years ago. If you would like to share something from your personal journey to New Zealand, please.
Sure. So it has been an incredible journey. I landed in New Zealand in 2009, 19 July. I still remember that day along with my husband. It has been a great journey. The first job I still remember I found was in 1 month and 10 days exact. And it was in hospitality. And luckily, I got a job in one of the largest kind of hotel chain, and that was I worked as a cashier, and it was a really good experience. From there on, I moved on to as a supervisor, and then further on managed few cafes. Um, in all in the middle of everything, there was something missing. I just wanted to do I wanted to build a kind of career where I would have like stable job. There will be always jobs like where I am right now as a registered nurse. I would say this journey has been great so far. I hope that answers
Yeah,
your
yeah,
question.
absolutely, Jyoti. Just for the benefit of the viewers who are watching in New Zealand as well as offshore, you arrived in New Zealand. You didn't, of course, you worked in the hospitality. So you come along with your husband. Was it one of you was studying at that time? How was it? Was it he was studying or you were studying?
Yeah, actually, he came on a student visa. He was doing his post-grad diploma in business entrepreneurship. And then I was on a work permit, and I was working as a cashier, like as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so it does. Of course, you were working, but of course, with the he's been studying, and you were looking to get into a more stable job and something which
Mm,
is, more long term and robust. I would say,
Yeah.
isn't it? So, uh, how did you go about, because uh, are you a science graduate, or what was your background? How that journey from, working in a hospitality, and of course, one thing is thinking about it. There've been many people watching this saying, "Oh, I'm also thinking about to be a teacher or want to be a nurse," right?
Mm.
But how should I go about it? Like someone like yourself, that's an excellent example. Like you were working in hospitality, and from hospitality to shifted to the healthcare. So how was that? Of course you were thinking about it, but what process did you follow? How did you go about it? And where did you study, which city, and what, how it went through to that journey transition from a hospitality to a nursing profession?
Sure. So, I have worked many hospitality, very, very busy jobs, doing long hours. I've always loved any job I've done so far in New Zealand because it has been very rewarding. When I thought of going to nursing, the reason is when I was in India in my secondary schooling, I had all those science subjects, and for some reason, I just decided to go into hospitality and did a degree and came to New Zealand. And while I was working, I started doing some research like what are the best options to have a stable job in New Zealand. So I started researching on www.careers.co.nz. It's an official website. You can actually see in this website that if you put occupation, this brings up with nursing, teaching, and anything you name it, and it's there. And it just tells you all the pathways and all the institutes you can do it from, and also tells you like in last year how many jobs were there, how many people were employed, what was, even they tell you about what's the average income and what levels you can go up to. And for example, for me, for nursing, I started researching, and I saw there were options for few institutes, and I picked one of the institutes, and I just saw, went into the link and saw all the requirements. And I kind of had a gap because being a New Zealand citizen, still English as a second, being a second language, I still had to give them a like a proficiency test, like just to improve, just to tell them that yes, I can do it, because they want to know. It's not like you can just say I want to do nursing and you can do it. You have to be very committed. For I was committed for 3 years. So what I did through that website, I just applied for, just without having that IELTS test. And I would just give it a go and see how it goes. And I was interviewed. Luckily, the coordinator from the nursing coordinator from the institute was very impressed. She had no doubt that I couldn't do it because she took all the interview regarding if you have done essays in past. And I was a bit nervous, but actually it was not that bad. When I came into the course, they accepted me without having to have even being a rule, like you have to have English proficiency test that I had to prove, but I got in and there was no problem. So that website I just talked about really helped me, and I took the pathway from there, and I finished my degree. I had lots of support. That was the amazing journey I had while doing my degree. The tutors were so supportive, because in this journey, while
Jyoti, just to interrupt here, just because again for the benefit of the viewers, because our channel and this video will be watched not only within New Zealand, but more so outside New Zealand. So because you raised a very important point here about the English proficiency, and of course the time you started your degree, the scenario was little different, but at the same time more so you being in New Zealand, and my understanding is you were, because you already had a New Zealand residency, uh, things were a little different. But for
Mm,
international students, it's important to understand, if you
yeah.
want to get into any kind of a course, and especially in nursing, you need to have a English proficiency test. You have to do IELTS. Some schools might take PT also. I mean, there are certain tests, but the IELTS is the always comes out of top, because with the nursing council also accept that once
Mm,
when you're going for your registration after your studies are finished. So just to uh, uh, bring that to the viewers attention, that in case of uh, Jyoti's profile, of course, because she was in New Zealand for several years before starting her nursing, so there was a different and it was a different time, so she could get into without IELTS, but usually you have to take IELTS or PT test to get into the nursing degree, just so that there's no gap in the understanding of the viewers who are watching this video. But sorry to interrupt, Jyoti. Please go ahead. You were telling about the how and where, which city did you do your bachelor from? And yeah, you were just mentioning about the tutors, please.
Sure, I did it through Wellington in Pororoa. It's a Fitirea Polytechnic. So I did it through them. So I was talking about the support. When you come from overseas, from your home country, and of course you're looking for support, and you don't know how the assignments are going to be, how the study is going to be, having support is very important. And I really mean it. When I say support, I was really supported, like in from every step. Because in the middle of degree, I was pregnant and I had my son as well. The things were even harder, but with that support plus family support from my husband, I was able to do it. If I did not have that support through my tutors and from my husband, I would not have been able to do it. Honestly, I would not have been able to. And that I also took 1 year's gap in between, when I did my first year of nursing, then took 1 year's break, which is even great. If you have, for some reason, if I wasn't able to do it like continuously, I could do it within 5 years. I could take gap, which was even good for me. Um, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Jyoti, that's a really encouraging. I think it is not a easy degree anyways, and then you did really well for yourself, of course, with the being pregnant, and then of course you took the time off, but it was I'm sure would have been a lot of dedication and hard work from your side to complete this degree, even with that 1 year gap. And of course that's good to know that you got a lot of support from your school, and who help you through that process, and the family, which is always important when you're studying, and especially a course like nursing, which is quite a demanding course, as the profession is, or however it's quite uh, fruitful and gives you back. But to achieve that, you need to do your hard yards. So thanks for sharing your story, and telling us about how you went through it. We it's a really inspiring, that how you moved from a hospitality, and then you did your research, you wanted to get into any a more stable skilled employment, and then you went to the website. And the website you mentioned is really important. I think everyone who is watching the website careers.govt.nz, it's a government website which mentions all the occupations in New Zealand. So like for Jyoti, she looked at the nursing, but you can go and put any profession, and it will come out with the details of the profession. How can you get into that profession? What are the opportunities as far as the salary aspect is concerned, and the job? So it's a quite a uh, useful website if you want to get some information about any particular occupation. Now, moving on, Jyoti, with regards to this industry, which, like it's understatement to say that it's in huge demand for nurses everywhere, but more so if we talk particularly about New Zealand. uh, if you would like to share about the job market in New Zealand for nurses, how it's been, of course, in last few years or in current, how you look at it and how things are going for nursing, or even overall, if you want to comment on that, please.
Sure, I want to comment on overall first of all. Yes, there has been a bit of drop in the employment at the stage. It is just temporary. It's going to improve. The government has handled it really, really well and very smartly. And talking about nursing, it won't be, it's not a lie. There's always and always going to be a job for nurses. Even if you look at that website of careers.govt.nz, it does say, I think it does say up to 1 year can take to find a job. But as I was still in the doing my degree, I was at the end of my final year just before finishing. um, I I was actually employed by CCDH, which is just like a district health board for in Wellington. I was employed by them even before finishing my degree. So it's really up to you how you study, how you give your interview, how you do it. It's not, and it's not hard to do nursing like you were talking about. I did not want to interrupt you before. Yes, it is hard. It only becomes harder when you don't put your time and dedication. You have to be very well organized. That's all I would like to suggest. If you're thinking of this degree, it's very rewarding. Job is always going to be there. So currently I have signed 2 years contract, but even I'm just like, it's my fourth month in the industry. I've already been offered a job that I can actually go back and work in an inpatient unit. um, so I don't think, there's no doubt, there's always going to be a job in this industry.
So sorry, Jyoti, just for the understanding. So you said, which is excellent information to know, that you know for you, you were not from a health science background. I mean, you were fresher in this industry. Were in the bachelor degree, and in your final year, you've been offered a 2-year contract by the district health board, and which shows the and I believe my understanding is, when you were given an offer, it is not nothing to do with the current COVID situation. It was just a normally. So that shows the need of this particular profession. Even if you're fresher, if you do not have a work experience, not like some other industry. So if you like, just correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's how it is, isn't it? Even if you're fresher, there's still a high demand. Like you said, you got the job in the final year, so that must be something. And isn't it that, what do you want to say about that? Do you need experience to get job after the degree? Or I mean, in your case, is it you find yourself as a exception, or it's quite common for students in bachelor degree who about to finish and end up getting a job in the
Yeah,
profession?
sure. So it's a standard. So every graduate who does this degree, just before the graduation, the process ends of this degree, just before that, the coordinators from different departments, they come. For example, from either from a psychiatric mental health inpatient unit, or from oncology, or from dialysis. They can come from any sort of ward, you can say, or department. They come and they just tell about themselves. It's just kind of like they come and they sell their jobs, because there are jobs out there. If we talk about this time, there's even more demand, like these frontliners, nurses and doctors. Talking about my job, I have been offered, like if I was on a PM shift or an AM shift, I was offered to do like another shift, like 17 hours shift. If I want to do like, maybe I can say 70 hours a week, the job, there is work is available. But again, it comes to family, I just have to step back. There's temptation always, every shift I go to, there's a temptation to do an extra shift, but I just kind of like, I have to step back and go back to the family as well. So there is no doubt, there's lots and lots of work available.
That's a really important thing what Jyoti you have highlighted. Of course, I think for the any student or migrants who come to the country, first thing is, of course, they have spent a lot of money, and
Yes.
they have put their career at stake, so they want to come and make the most out of it, and they look for professions where you can get as many hours as per your visa, of course, and you can do that. And what you mentioned, like, it's if there's a uh, possibility where the when you are in the final year, and the different recruiters, if I may say in a simple term, from different parts of hospital, they come and try to sell their department as a, you should work in our department as a nurse, because they have a lot of requirements. That's a very positive sign. And then like you mentioned, that while you're working, there is an opportunity. If you want to work, you can work up to 70 hours a week. However, it doesn't mean that you should work 70 hours, but the point is that there's a lot of opportunity, and there are less people, more demand in this area. So that showcase the opportunities in this area. That's a really good way how you know give that information. Only a professional who is working in the that profession, in the industry, can highlight those type of scenarios. In generally, we say, oh, there is a lot of demand for nurses, people know that, but how it actually works, like you say, they're coming and selling the jobs that come and work for our department, and then asking you if you can do extra hour. That clearly showcase how much demand is there, of course. And that's really encouraging. Jyoti, just want to ask you one question, which is more because you studied hospitality, right? You had a science background during your schools, your year 11, year 12. You did hospitality from back home, right? From India. So coming here, and of course you worked here, and then you moved and studied bachelor in nursing. So how would you differentiate that studies, and from a point of, if I may ask that, like, you studied in India and here, and hospitality in itself, it's very practical, isn't it? Wherever you do it. So would you like to give us a couple of points about how studying in New Zealand was different for you?
Hmm. Sure. Like I said before, it, as you also mentioned, it's a hard kind of profession coming into nursing. Um, the only difference I would say that I just needed to put efforts, dedication, of course, more than hospitality, as you said, more practical. I had to be very, very organized to do my assignments. In back home in India, it was more of like you just give exams. Yes, you do exams here as well, but there is more of assignments you do. Nursing in itself is especially in New Zealand. I don't know about India, but here it's totally, it's dependent on evidence-based practice. I actually did doing my I started my postgrad studies as well. I just did an assignment on evidence-based practice. So it's basically what when I say evidence-based practice, it's not something like, for example, if I'm looking after a patient and I say that, oh, this will work for you. It doesn't go like that. You have to have like a research background, proven research to show that yes, this is how you do your nursing practice. So that was quite a challenge for me, like coming from India, and I had to do like a referencing as well, which I had not done back in India. Like if you have picked a sentence from one resource, you just have to tell that this is where I have picked up from, and you have to reference it. It was a big challenge, but coming to a conclusion of how it has worked for me, first year was a challenge, like first semester I can say, but when I adapted to the environment of these assignments and then doing the references, now I just absolutely love it. It's just like one of my favorite things, paraphrasing and just telling where I got the research from. So this is the difference, I can
I
say.
think just to again, what you mentioned, to paraphrasing again for the benefit of everyone watching this, is like, it's, of course, we say, studying this, nothing wrong and right, but if you look at how the studies in New Zealand are different, and it's good to know from someone who have studied back home all these years. And sometimes people come here, once they even settle, they do a 1 year program or something, or a short program. But doing a whole bachelor degree opens up, uh, it's a long duration. You learn a lot of stuff. And one of the things which Jyoti mentioned, which I believe is really important, is uh, evidence-based study. Or when we say, if you're studying something, you understand it, and then then you answer the question or you do the assignment. It's not about you uh, read and probably cram a chapter and then go for and answering the question in the exam. It's more about the understanding the concept, and then writing your assignment. And in case, like, of course, because Jyoti is now doing postgrad, so in postgrad it's more about research. It's a more detailed research. So that's a really interesting thing to understand, which the one thing people use it, oh, if you study in New Zealand or study in in subcontinent or other part, it's more theoretical. Here it's practical. What do you mean by practical? So practical is more about understanding the concept and implementing them to the real life situation. That's a really important thing. And I believe it's a really good thing that we are talking to Jyoti, who have done a bachelor degree in nursing here, uh, because starting and coming from a different background, entering in this industry, it would be like starting more or less from a basic and going to the advanced level, and now going to the postgraduate, isn't it, Jyoti? Like, it would have been a great experience for you, like you said, from first assessment, which was a bit of a challenge, but after that now you're enjoying. And rather, I didn't know about your postgrad, that you're doing a postgrad also, which is an excellent news, that you're further developing your research skills and taking it further, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Mm.
So Jyoti, just one thing with the again with the we have discussed about the current COVID-19 situation. What is your pick on that? Of course, it's an understatement to say in your profession there are opportunities anyways, but in general, how you're looking at it for future, for next few years down the line, particularly in your industry, as well as if in general you think in New Zealand, you are in Wellington, the heart of New Zealand, capital city of New Zealand, how you're looking at the COVID-19 impacting the industry as a whole, and what would be the opportunities in the nursing sector in coming years. We, of course, we're talking about in next 4 to 5 years, how you look at it.
First of all, I would like to say that this industry has not been impacted at all. Actually, there has been more boom into it, because this is the industry. It's always going to be in demand, given that this issue of COVID-19, which is going around all around the world. It has actually has created more jobs, and for myself, I have started to do my postgrad studies as well. So there is going to be more jobs available. For this industry, you can go to any what I can say, like any growth you can, wherever you want to go, you can do that. For example, I am doing postgrad studies because I want to reach to a management level. And there, the best thing I love about being in New Zealand is that you can just reach anywhere you want to. I mean it. Being a manager is not an easy job. It needs lots of dedication. You need skills which you develop through studying and doing further studies, professional development. So I would say, coming back to COVID-19, surely there are going to be more jobs, because government is wanting more people to come into this industry. For example, for me, actually, there's a very good example. I have been granted some money from government to pay off my student loan, because they want nurses. And they have paid, and I was also getting, of course that's a different thing. I'm a citizen here, but I was getting lots of support from the government as well to study and to enter into the
I
profession.
believe, Jyoti, what you're coming from is more about the opportunities, and when people want to come to a new country and want to settle there, and they need to understand what kind of jobs which actually are in demand, and the local government want them, that people from overseas should come and do those jobs which are in high demand, highly paid, rather than coming for something which is not skilled. So in a profession like nursing, which is in high demand, New Zealand wouldn't able to fulfill the requirement of nurses, on its own. So if you come and study a bachelor degree, get a job, get a settlement, and if you have further aspiration, just like yourself, going for a postgrad, so government is supporting a lot for encouraging people to get higher qualification and giving the benefit, be it the tuition fee or other allowances, to showcase that this area is in demand anyways. It's not just the, of course, COVID-19 has like given it a bit of a turbo boost, but otherwise this profession always been in demand, and it will be. That's really interesting point you've made. Just now, just to conclude the very interesting discussion with you, there are a number of viewers who are watching this video in New Zealand who might be in a different profession, and now with the current situation, people who've been in, especially in tourism, which is struggling, and it will overcome, but it will take some time, or some other area who want to get into this profession, or people who are sitting overseas want to get, you know, aspirants, year 12 student, or even graduates who want to come and make a career in this industry. Is there any message you want to give them from your side? You've been there, done that. That's what, if you have to give a very brief message for them, what it would be?
Sure, I would like to reflect on two things. One would be, if you decide to come to this country to do a degree, please come with dedication, determination that yes, I am going to do it. And you can only do it if you have time management skills. If you do not have those, please develop those. This course is only hard for those people who do not have good time organization skills. If you think like, okay, this is my 3 days I will be going to class, and 2 days will be for my weekend, and rest 2 days of the week will be left, so I want to commit those 2 days to my studies. Trust me, I wasn't even studying after coming from class from 8 o'clock in the morning and 4:30. It's just mind was just blown with the information. So I kind of like had given myself kind of time organization, so scheduled, okay, these 3 days after class no study, but those 2 days I was completely committed to study, and I was able to do my assignments. And it's called second year of nursing is very, very hard. And I was told by every single student, but trust me, it wasn't hard for me. I don't know, that's an exception or whatever it is. It was only due to time management skills. And I was able to do that. And obviously you will be coming on a student visa. The second thing I want to talk about, you will spend lots of money, but trust me, if you will put those time organization skills, your hard work, determination, and passion into this industry, you will be able to pay off your loan and money, or whatever money you owe to bank. You will be able to pay it off because the pay is really, really good. I can even tell you it's private, but for encouragement, I would like to say that the standard beginning would be $54,334 net, plus the overtime you do. Weekends, you get time and a half, and public holidays is double. When you do a night shift, you get more. So, in saying that, you will be able to pay off your loan. You will not regret it. That's my message. I hope that's clear and succinct.
Actually, that's really, really, I mean, thanks for being so open and sharing that. I think, guys, it's a really important to understand. Of course, when people talk about studying, oh, this is hard, this is easy, all that stuff, the important message is time management. time management is important. If you can do your time management, if you don't have that skills, try to develop that. As Jyoti informed from her experience, and it is a successful career. Of course, you have to do your hard yards, but if you have time management skills, you can achieve those goals. And more so, like what Jyoti mentioned about the standard starting salary, which is like the same, which is required to be a skilled in the skilled employment. So you can understand when we talk about settlement option in New Zealand, you have a qualification, you have a job, and you have a salary like that. It's all clear cut pathway for your settlement in New Zealand and being in demand. Your residency application is always prioritized. That's another advantage. So uh, it was excellent knowing all those details, and we would like to thank Jyoti for your time at this busy